Hello there, YouTube. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure and hit that like button. Subscribe to the Pick Six Podcast YouTube channel and turn on alerts so that way you'll get notified when we go live on this very channel. Emergency podcast galore as we get closer to the season. Plus, you want to come in and hang out with us, you'll get a little buzz on your phone that lets you know when we go live. I just went up right now. Imagine that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Friday, June the 10th. If you're listening to the podcast in audio form, I hope you're excited for the weekend. Only 1 week left until Father's Day. Very exciting. Love a good Father's Day. I told my son that I'm going to drag him to Pinehurst, and he's going to play golf with me multiple times, even though that is not what he wants to do at all. But it's not Son's Day, it's Father's Day. So you're doing it, son. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6, come hang out with us basically every day at 1 o'clock Eastern. It is Thursday, June the 9th. We're going to do some news and talk about some quarterback battles. Joining me to break it down, John, Breech, and Tyler Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully.
We get through 2 minutes of Brinson introducing the podcast here. If I learned one thing, it is that
that's short. 90 seconds of
I'm not even complaining.
So short.
I'm saying if I learned one thing from your intro today, because I learn at least one thing every day from your intros, it is that we clearly have different parenting styles, because I'm not dragging my kid anywhere because then they're going to pout the whole day, and then that ruins the day. And then that's not a good Father's Day. So I'm going to take my kid to get donuts, and we're just going to eat donuts all day. She's going to love it. And we're both going to be happy.
See, I don't have
you don't have children.
I don't have kids, so I'm kind of like out on all this.
Congratulations. You're going to lay on your couch hungover and watch the U.S. Open. That's what you're
I mean, that's probably what I'm going to do. But I am actually going to take my dad golfing, so we're kind of having the same day, Will.
So, I told Robbie.
But Tyler's not going to be pouting the whole time.
No, Robbie's going to be pouting. Robbie's going to be playing a Switch in the cart the whole time. He'll come out and hit some putts with me. It's just, that's what I want to do. I always see he's like, are we going to bring everybody else? I was like, no, just you and me, bro. He's like, cool. Yeah. Because he's played golf. He likes golf. 18 holes is, he's 8 years old. It's just a non-starter. Like, it would be a miserable experience for me, for him, and everyone else on the course. But he'll run out there on the, we'll get up to the green and run out there and hit some putts, and it'll be a nice way to get out of the house. Like, I like to spend my Father's Day playing golf and watching the U.S. Open. Like, I know that it's like technically, like, it's weird though, right? So you would think that you're supposed to celebrate, like, like as a father, I'm supposed to celebrate my son. No, he's got a birthday. He's got all kinds of other stuff for that. This is my day.
No, you're
my
right.
Day.
Yeah, you're right. It is not Son's Day. Like, no. I am taking my dad out.
Sunday.
Yeah. Hey.
Sadly, I've always like, all I wanted was, I got to rethink. I'm in a weird headspace. So, like, as you can see over my left shoulder, 18th Baltusrol flag from the hole, signed by Phil Mickelson. That's his first ever major win. It's a practice flag, but whatever. I've got other Phil Mickelson paraphernalia around here. Big Phil fan. Phil's going full WCW Hogan on us.
You gotta get some live golf flags.
Did you see what he wore to the first hole?
No, what I saw
he's wearing this black vest. It's a black Masters vest. So it's got the Augusta logo on there, and then he took it off or turned it inside out or changed vest in between that. Like, so he wore it for the interview, teed off in it. Basically, it's like an FU to Augusta. I mean, which is just wild.
I like it. I like going full heel.
Yeah, I do too. Breech, we were talking about a little bit before we get. I mean, look. I don't know what did Debo, what did Wilson and I talk about to kill like 7 minutes yesterday to start the podcast?
Paul Bissonnette's hair.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen that, Breech, by the way?
No, I saw Tom Brady's hair. It's orange.
Well, we'll get to Tom Brady. That's actual NFL news. I'm trying to kill some time here so we get a decently linked podcast. I was going to say the live golf stuff is going on. There's 3 holes to play in the first round. All black Phil Mickelson. Is he shaved since the first hole? He's like grew a beard. He's got a mustache. It is like crazy, this heel turn. Somebody sent me a clip where like they were playing money, 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 money as he was going to the first tee. Like Dustin John. I mean, it's wild how this live golf thing is just like, it's funny because, and I mean, I don't want to call out our colleagues, Kyle Porter.
Oh boy.
or it's not just Kyle, it's the entirety of like the golf. And I love golf Twitter. I love golf media. Golf is my favorite sport.
Clearly, because you've turned this into a golf podcast.
Just let me do my rant. But like these guys are doing some big league pearl clutching when it comes to this live golf thing. Like I understand the concerns about it, but like it's just like the way that it's being handled is like these guys are destroying the sanctity of the game. It's like, well, okay, now I don't know. I probably shouldn't give a bunch of takes on this, but the USFL, if there was a Saudi-based football league, would the same thing be happening? I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's really right. It's more just about where or how the league is funded more than it is an alternate league. I don't like if this was totally clean, would anybody really care that live golf is, they would care that it's making some sort of an impact on the PGA, but ultimately I don't think it would be as much pearl clutching. Right.
Well, and in the media's defense, you saw what the PGA did to all the players who are playing on this tour. They said, hey, you're gone. You're suspended. Yeah. You're out. And so if you're part of the media who covers the PGA, you are going to cross them if you start taking this other tour seriously. And so that's a delicate line you kind of have to walk, because if the PGA says, hey, you're covering live, you don't get credentials anymore, something like that. Who knows? Something like that could happen. And so that makes it interesting. And then obviously, the human rights element to
sure.
the financial backing, like Tyler was mentioning. And so I don't think the common fan, they're going to watch golf. That's what the common golf fan is going to do. They don't care where it is. And I think that is ultimately going to be the PGA's problem.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, there were 90,000 people streaming it on YouTube. I think it was Darren Ravel tweeted out that it was like an average first round of the PGA event. And I'm assuming he was talking about Golf Channel, because that's usually where it airs, is 375,000 people. Like, 90K is pretty good for the first day of the golf event. We'll see how it goes. Moving forward, it's only 3 days, 54 holes. It's a shotgun start. We talked about this a little bit, and I'm sort of looking at P. Mick. I don't love the scoreboard. It's hard to figure out. P.Mick is Phil Mickelson on the scoreboard. He is just 3 back at 1 under. S. Hoare. Maybe we could redo that one. Sam Horsfield, also at 1 under. I don't know why I'm giving live scores on this podcast. Anyway, we banged out 7 minutes on that. That's fine. You guys want to talk some football?
And now there are 4 listeners left, but those 4 people love football.
Yeah, they're starting
very
football.
Thin niche demographic who love live golf and off-season NFL football. Okay,
this is real.
So we're going to talk about another Rams extension, because they banged out a deal with Aaron Donald to make sure he came back. And then on Wednesday evening, the Rams also took care of Cooper Kupp, giving the wide receiver a 3-year, $80 million extension with $75 million guaranteed, according to reports, the highest amount ever guaranteed to a wide receiver. Kupp, of course, had a record-breaking 145 catches, 1,947 yards, and 16 touchdowns in a monster 2021 season. Getting on the same page. I think it's Adam Levitan of Established a Run calls it the breakfast narrative. He and Matthew Stafford eat egg white omelets together every morning, and then go grind on film, and it was a sort of a kind of tropey in the offseason. I think Seth Wickersham had a good piece on it. Maybe just how these guys had bonded and gotten close, but it worked, and Kupp was unstoppable. And it's crazy because Kupp had this Megatron-like season, but he's just the furthest thing from Calvin Johnson physically. He's bigger than Wes Welker and a different receiver than Wes Welker, but sort of the same style, right? He can play outside, obviously, but he's beating you with his brain and with his quickness and his suddenness. But he is a legitimate number 1, Sully, and he got paid this offseason.
Yeah, it's an absolutely massive deal. Like you said, just to even add on top of it, I believe he's the only player other than Jerry Rice to have the Offensive Player of the Year, lead everything in the Triple Crowns, and be a Super Bowl MVP all in 1 year. We're talking about an absolutely massive season for Cooper Kupp, so he certainly deserves it. It's just insane how much money the Rams are able to throw around, but I do like it. If we are or if an organization is throwing the draft picks away like it's nobody's business and throwing money around, you might as well just go all in and really start to invest in what you have, make this window as maximized as possible, because once this thing ends, it is kind of going to go off a cliff at some point, I would assume, whether it's draft picks or money wise, that you're just unable to do anything. So maximize it as much as you can.
I don't know, Breech, that it necessarily goes off. And like, you're not wrong. Like, if you look, Patriots are a good example. Like, if you don't draft well for X number of years, you can go off a cliff. The Rams are doing really good. What's that?
Or draft it all.
Or draft it all. Right. The Rams did a good job of, Kupp was a later round pick, right? Third round pick, wasn't he? Was he a second round pick? Third round pick.
Let's call it day 2.
Third round. He was a third round pick in the 2017 NFL draft. I remember, credit to Peter Schrager, who pumped him up before the draft. I remember seeing Cooper Kupp in, where were we eating dinner? Oh, you know what? It was freaking, what's the Elmo's. He was in Elmo. He was hanging out in Elmo's, just having supper at the combine with his agents. But I remember just seeing him and thinking like, that guy doesn't look like a superhuman wide receiver to me. But as it turns out, he is. The one thing, Breech, on that falling off a cliff, though, I think for me, it's probably more about how long can the core, particularly Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald, like those two guys, like how long are Stafford and Aaron Donald going to play on the Rams? I think that's how long this window is open, provided they continue to make smart free agent moves, bring in more veterans, and hit on those later round picks.
But it feels like Les Snead has decided we're going to run this team like an NBA franchise, where we're going to get some superstars in here. Then we're going to fill in the gaps with some players who cost $2 million a year. And then we're going to be competitive. And that strategy has been working. And it feels like usually when you see a successful recipe like that, other teams will emulate it. But we haven't really seen other teams embrace that, because it's like they're afraid to jump off this cliff. Because if you fail, you are going to tank and be horrible. And so, as Tyler's saying, you can only kick the can down the road so far. But for the Rams, it does feel like this might work because, obviously we had the salary cap go down.
You sound like that to the Arrested Development meme. He's like, I've advised clients all the time about an open marriage. He's like, does it work for them? No, never. But it might work for us.
Well, and the crazy thing is it might, because now we're getting to the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years where the salary cap is just going to shoot up. And so that gives the Rams more money to work with. And as you said, Brinson, it's about keeping this core together, and they have it together. I mean, you have Cooper Kupp under contract for the next 5 seasons. You have Matthew Stafford under contract for the next 4 seasons. You have Aaron Donald under contract for the next 3 seasons. You just signed Allen Robinson to a 3-year deal. You just signed Bobby Wagner to a 5-year deal that has an out after like 2 years. So if he's good, you keep him for the 5. If he's not good, you can get out after 2 years. So they have all these great players. Jalen Ramsey under contract for the foreseeable future. So it does feel like they have a strong Super Bowl window of at least 2 years, maybe even 3 years, which is just mind-boggling because they have completely turned the normal team building strategy upside down. And I'm glad Les Snead is wearing shirts that says F those picks and fully embracing what he's done. And no other general manager has been able to do what he's done.
Well, one of those things, when you're talking about the 2-year window, I do think that is where we're kind of sitting at, specifically if we're looking at we're talking about the pillars of the Rams, because you got to remember in that Aaron Donald extension, restructure, whatever you want to call it.
This is a new contract for Donald, I think, but yeah, it's
whatever the case may be. But it's after that going into that 3rd year, it's kind of an option where if he wants to retire, he can, or he can kind of opt in for another $30 million. So there is a decision there for, again, the most important defensive player on that team, arguably the most important player on the Rams in general. So, you do have at least 2 years here of Donald if this contract, if he lives out the what he has right now in that contract.
Yeah, and look, maybe you may have even been saying, like the window can close as soon as 2 years or 3 years or whatever you want to call it. And Stafford has 4 years left on his deal he has 5 years left on his deal in total, but he'll be 37. They can save a ton of cap money, a ton of cap space if they wanted to after 2025. So it does feel like and look, like that's not a bad way to approach an NFL franchise if you have already just won the Super Bowl, because like you have carte blanche from ownership and front office and management, like the Demoff family and the Kroenke family. Kroenke / Walton's secretly owning multiple franchises. No big deal. But you've got you can do whatever you want if you're Les Snead without any fear of people being like, whoa, are we sure this is going to work? You can, they're going to be like, look, you already won one Super Bowl. We have so much momentum in LA. This new stadium is wildly popular. There are LA Rams fans. And if we keep winning, if the Rams, let's say in the next 3 to 4 years, the Rams make one more Super Bowl and go to the playoffs every year, they are going to have a legitimate fan base of younger people in LA. And they're going to be the first Los Angeles fan, the first legit NFL Los Angeles fan base in a while. And they're a cool team. They're a fun team. They, obviously I'm a Matthew Stafford honk. I ordered a Matthew Stafford Cooper Kupp NFL Jam t-shirt from Homage.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys use that website. It's Homage Tees. Is it Homage? Homage?
Homage. I think it's Homage.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The Club Trill.
Homage? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, point being is Homage. The point being is this is a good question too. We'll get to that one in a second. But they're a fun team.
Yeah.
They have players. I wish Von Miller would come back, but they are a fun team and a team you want to root for. And so I think that's sort of where they're at too. I don't think they care about right now life after Stafford and Donald. It's let's F them picks is sort of let's live in the now and just roll with what we got and see how many games we can win. And I mean, there's a reason why they're. I just very quickly on the betting standpoint, we talked about it, Sully, earlier this offseason. We both like them as value to win the NFC, value to win the Super Bowl, and frankly, they shouldn't be plus money to win the NFC West. That's kind of crazy.
And the other thing, quickly, when we're talking about their chances to go all the way and contend for multiple years here, you got to look at the landscape of the NFC. A lot of talent has been drained and might continue to be drained over the next few years, whatever happens with Aaron Rodgers, who continues to talk about life after football, even though he signed a massive deal. Tom Brady retired this offseason, came back, so who knows what his future is going to be. Those are the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, two of the Super Bowl favorites in the NFC, along with the Rams. If you're telling me that at some point over the next 4-ish years that both of those quarterbacks are gone, that's just a whole other avenue for the Rams to continue to contend in an easier conference in the AFC.
And not even the easier conference, the easier division now. I mean, we were talking about how the NFC West was the best division in football last year. If your Super Bowl window is going to be the next 3 years in NFC, this is literally the ideal time because, look, the NFC West is down. We don't know if Trey Lance is any good. If he ends up being bad, the 49ers have to do a total reset and figure out who their quarterback is. We don't know. What if Kyler Murray signs an extension, ends up just being an average quarterback? Then they're locked into Kyler Murray. And then Seahawks don't even have a quarterback. So
they have Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Put a little respect on their names.
They don't count, do they?
Yeah, they don't.
They're both step downs from Russell Wilson. I think we can agree, right? Yeah. So you have that. And then Tyler's saying, Tom Brady might only be around for this season. That might be it. And then he's going to be a free agent. He could end up in the AFC for all we know. He could retire. And then you're just looking at Aaron Rodgers as the main guy to deal with, and he might retire. He might only have 1 or 2 more years. He said earlier this week that he's going to finish.
3 absolute max, which I guess he and Stafford same trajectory, but 2, he's probably a 2-year deal for him.
And then if he's out, then you feel real good about your Super Bowl window if you're the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's people want to criticize it because it's different, and that's just how it works. Anytime you do team building in a the Sixers, right? To trust the process. Anytime somebody does something against the norm, people want to criticize it. But the Rams have won a Super Bowl, and yes, that takes some luck. Chris Tart has to drop a pick. They went all in on it. If they don't make the conference championship game, if the Bucks come back and win that game, then they're getting ripped apart this offseason, or not ripped apart, but ripped this offseason for going all in and not winning it. But when you win it all, and some of it is luck, you get to reap the rewards of that. And now that means you're getting to double down on this core that they've built around it. Let's see. Dynamite Dave. Well, he said, dude, LA Lakers are a legit fan base, diehard year after year. Yeah. Lakers and Cowboys fans. I said NFL fan base.
Don't forget Duke either. Come on now.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Lakers fans. Once Duke's eliminated, they really dive into the NBA. I mean, whatever. I like that. I went to a game at a crypto.com arena, which is disgusting, by the way. Just call it I never
It's
thought about
Staples, right? The Staples Center. That's
it
what
should
you're
be
talking about. Yeah, I keep forgetting that.
like
They switched.
I don't even think about the fact that it's like Staples Center was sponsored by Staples the company. It's like Staples, it's like it was actually sponsored by a staple company, like an office supply company. But at any rate, I digress. Dynamite Dave actually asked another question. Please explain how the Rams keep signing players and staying under the salary cap. Well, the short answer is that the salary cap is a myth. The longer answer, Breech, is that they are structuring these contracts in such a way that, to Sully's point, like they are kind of planning to have to pay the piper at the end of this Super Bowl window, albeit knowing that, the cap is going to keep moving up so they can keep being aggressive throughout that space. So like in 2022, just as an example, Matthew Stafford's cap hit is $13.5 million. That is extremely low for a franchise quarterback. Now, if they had to cut him, they won't do that, but they would lose $61 million in salary cap space because his dead cap hit is $63 million. In 2023, his salary cap hit is $20 million. That is extremely low for a franchise quarterback. If we look at Aaron Donald, I had his contract up, damn it.
Well, real quick with the Rams, that's what I was saying earlier, is that they basically hitch their wagon to superstar players who are proven. And you look at Brinson just mentioned Stafford, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Cooper Kupp. Those four players are eating up 40% of the Rams salary cap for 2022 for the upcoming season. So they're saying we can build a Super Bowl winner around these four stars, because if on defense, if you have a shutdown corner and the best pass rusher in NFL history, and then on offense, you have a great quarterback and a receiver who gets open all the time, that makes you a Super Bowl contender. And we'll just fill in the gaps with everybody else with a bunch of role players who are good, except they find great role players, whether that's Allen Robinson or Bobby Wagner, guys who already mentioned. So they just say, all right, here's the nucleus we're building behind. Go fill in everything else.
Well, it's kind of like an NBA team in the sense of you have those superstars and people who are still starving for a championship, who've been in the league for a long time, are willing to come join at, somewhat of a reduced rate and kind of want to be surrounded by that core to go win a championship. I mean, you even see it obviously in the NFL too. The one thing that I was wondering though with the Rams, and I don't think it's the case with the superstars, the Donalds, the Kupps, and the Staffords of the world, but are they doing any of those void years for any of these other guys? Because that's another way that you can kind of massage the salary cap. You've seen, the Patriots did it with Tom Brady towards the tail end of his career. They had a bunch of void years that ultimately ended up, being a bigger salary cap kind of transition year in 2020 where they didn't have a lot to spend. But you do see teams add those void years to kind of make it more palatable when they're, in their prime or in their highest capabilities when they first sign.
Right. And Aaron Donald's contract has those. But again, that's just kicking the can down the road. And you're hoping the salary cap keeps shooting up. Because, Brinson just mentioned that Stafford has a $13.5 million cap hit this year and $20 million next year. Well, the cap's going to go up next year. So that becomes much more feasible to absorb these higher cap numbers. So if you're the Rams, you're assuming the NFL is always going to be successful. The cap's always going to go up. And we're going to stay right at the cap number we'll kick the can down the road. And we'll do that forever because the cap keeps going up.
Well, you essentially have four players: Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Cooper Kupp, and Matthew Stafford. And I mean, I think we can all agree those are the four, two dudes on each side normally the key position is obviously the edge rusher, right? But like defensive tackle, like you have the four key positions that take up, those are the only guys above 5% of the Rams salary cap for 2022. You didn't just say that exactly that, did you? Okay. I'll shut up then. I was dealing with a personal email. I'm sorry, my apologies. I can
almost word for word, Brinson. Almost word for word.
I can always tell when like I'm repeating exactly what somebody else just said, because like Sully didn't even know how to handle it. Sully's just like, what the
sure.
Breech makes this like he makes the exact same face whenever I do it. It's like,
but Wilson stops you after 3 words. So that's
no. Make what you like. Yeah, it's like you squint your eyes just a little bit. I'm like, oh crap. No, you don't turn your head. You're just like. It's like your eye. No, you don't move your head at all. It's your eyes.
It's gotta be natural. I can't reenact it.
It's got to be natural. So you can't
Well,
like.
it's a good thing you know how to read.
There it is. There it is. They get a little bit wider, then they shrink really quickly.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing you know how to read the cues, Brinson.
I'm doing it again. You know what? I've heated up a cup of coffee and I forgot to bring it up here. Adam Simon says I just found a bunch of Brady Quinn rookie cards in a collection I bought.
What?
Now I'm done. Have you guys seen the?
Congrats on retirement, man. That's
yeah,
great.
really. Yeah, congrats on being able to buy a skateboard, a used skateboard. If you saw all this, it is a shame that it's like I mean, obviously this is part of like collecting, but like so I went through all my parents were like, get this crap out of our house. So I went through all my baseball cards and all me and my brother's comic books. And it's like so depressing, all the various baseball cards that I had as a kid, where I was like, I mean, these cards are going to be worth so much when I'm older. And they're worth like 25 cents. I think the most valuable one I found was worth like $1,000 or something like that, which is pretty good. But
for me, it was when we were younger, we did like Pokemon cards.
Dude,
and
you have those? Because those are worth something now.
I do, and I've got a few graded over here. So yeah, me and my brother are super into it. But like there are
currently into it still, like, but for financial reasons, not like we're like you love Pokemon or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's more like, can I make money? Yeah. And but like the
original NFT.
Yeah, exactly. But the what stunk was, me and my brother would play Pokemon. So like some of them are like super valuable, but also super damaged, so they don't grade that well. I'm like, had only I just put them in and didn't do anything.
I hate to even like confess this because it makes me sick to my stomach. But initially, when I got this giant like cardboard box, like moving box full of like baseball cards and all kinds of cards. And I was trying to go through and like, I ran into some, these were not I shouldn't even say this because I'm going to get like sued for this by my brother. But I was like, what are these stupid garbage pail kid cards doing in here? And threw out like five, there's like five of them, threw them out. And then I looked them up and I was like, oh no. I think they're worth like $500 a piece or something.
Why would you throw away garbage pail kid cards?
Exactly.
Greatest cards in history.
Excuse me, I need to get to the Robin Ventura rookie cards here. like freaking trying to think who the most common rookie, like the 92 Fleer. Like it's like you're like, oh look, I got a Griffey Jr. Like, no, that's not the Griffey Jr. that anyone cares about. Like, Nolan Ryan, none of them are worth anything.
I'll tell you guys what, if Pogs ever come back, I'll be a billionaire. Just
it is
anymore. I'll be a billionaire.
I'll tell you what, we're gonna take a quick break, and after the break, I will tell you about the most exciting basketball card that I found in my entire collection. Next. I love no commercial today. So do you remember the silver top? I think it's the silver. It's not tops. It's like the main basketball card. They have the silver background. You know what I'm talking about?
It's not Panini, is it? Is that what
no.
From the 90s?
Yeah.
Fleer Ultra?
It's it's just hoops. NBA hoops.
Okay.
So there's one. It's like
that sounds made up.
No, it's yeah. You guys are. I guess you guys. You're. Yeah, it's
like
NBA hoops.
Happy Meal.
And it's like the silver. It's like a little arch shot of all the players, and has the name in the top left position. They did a whole like Dream Team series as well. Very like the most popular early '90s basketball card. Well, the one that is worth the most out of the entire set. You'll never guess who it is, so I'll tell you. And you'll never guess why.
Judd Bushler.
No, but that's a pretty good guess. Mark Jackson.
What?
Do you know why Mark Jackson?
Oh, I know exactly why.
Yeah, you know why? Do you know why?
Yeah, I know exactly why.
By all means, if you know why, tell.
Because it's at Madison. Is it Madison Square Garden? And it's the Menendez brothers.
The Menendez brothers
in
the game, front row. Yeah, like you can look it up. It's like Lyle and what's the other one? Lyle and Kyle? Why do I think it's Lyle and Kyle? Lyle and who's the other Menendez brothers?
Eric. Like
Lyle
Eric and Lyle
Menendez are sitting in the back just, and actually it appears that now it's not, maybe it's like $25 or something. So I thought it was worth like more than that. But anywho, that one's like the most popular one because it has two Menendez brothers sitting in the background of it. That wasn't as, yeah. Anyway,
You know what? When we run out of content on like July 7th, you should just go through your entire card collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
During,
Or
during the part of the NFL offseason.
Maybe we'll have our, yeah. Maybe
I don't want to be on that show, but you could do that.
You gotta put my brother on that. He does just have a
Brinson
little
and Sully's
card,
brother.
card talk. It'd be great.
Is he big into like baseball cards too, or just
Absolutely huge into it. He's got he's big into vintage, tobacco cards. He's got a pretty insane collection.
really?
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Is he older or younger?
Younger.
Yeah.
He's 26. I think I'm going down to Atlantic City with him in end of July.
Like a
Show your
convention?
cards.
The card convention or whatever it is.
Couple Neds? Couple
Yeah,
card Neds?
All he had to say was Atlantic City, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
You're
I'll
like,
come
yeah, I'll
with
go to a
you."
card convention with you in Atlantic City.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, that's what you tell your fiance. Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, that's unbelievable. I'm going to a baseball card convention in Atlantic City. She's like, "What's her name?" No. Yeah, my brother. I don't know what your brother's name is. I assume he goes by Sully as well.
He does. He's
And,
Sports Card Sully on Twitter if you want to.
Oh, really?
Follow. Yep. There you go.
Let's check him out. Sports Card Sully.
You guys want to know a fun fact about football cards?
Wait. Can you say Sports Card Sully in an extreme Southie accent for me?
And also make a Twitter handle for it.
Sports Card Sully, like that.
that's pretty good.
I think it's Card Sully. I was about to say Card Sully.
It looks like Sports Card Sully is
good
still available on Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and steal that and then sell it to you.
Jeez, Breech, that's savage.
Sorry.
Got to corner that market.
Early bird gets the worm.
Anyway, this is if you're new to the podcast, if you're just getting into the podcast for whatever,
We don't usually spend a half-hour day talking about cards.
No. This is what
It's usually like 2 hours.
This is what the off season will be like. Yes, no, we do actually Breech. We do spend a lot of time doing nothing.
I wanted them to show up for the next show. I didn't want them to stop listening.
Adam Simon wants to know, Sully, does he have a whatnot show, Sully?
Does he what exactly?
Does he have a whatnot show?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
I bet your brother knows what that is.
He probably knows what it is, but I don't know.
So yeah, actually I found that I spent because the baseball cards were mostly mine.
Yeah.
And then by the time my brother wasn't quite as into baseball. But I was also huge into comic books. But just sort of looking through it, like these comic books are worth way more than the baseball cards. Way more.
Yeah.
I found some pretty good. Whatnot is a where you sell sports cards apparently. I have to sign up for that.
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, he might.
But I've just sort of been looking up something I've been sifting through these comics and it's weird because this isn't a comic book show. What am I talking about? What is happening here? Sorry.
And moral of the story is you make some good money off of them. Again, it's a big investment, but you can make some money if you get some good ones.
Yeah. Well, especially like the modern ones, I think people are buying. It's more of it's less like collectible and more like sort of a bartering economy. There's more. The movement is much faster in modern card collecting than it was back in the day.
Yeah, to bring it back to football even too, because that's kind of somewhat blowing up. Even last year's class just came out. Brother was just telling me this. It's a huge rookie class, and obviously, and a specific box came out for that, and it's supposedly like $2,000 to even get close to it.
It's insane. Because you can go to Target and buy a box of crappy cards but they're still expensive. But to get these nice cards, oh, look at this, $1.32.
You don't have to spend $2,000 on cards. You can go on eBay right now and buy a Jim Breech rookie card for $1.32. That's a steal. That thing
looks
probably
cooler your dad was than you are.
I mean, he's wearing a Raiders jersey. It doesn't get much cooler than that.
He's just got both arms on the bench, chin strap loose. He's like, yeah, I'm going to bang that field goal.
That's literally a kicker's life right there, just chilling on the bench watching the game. And I was going to say real quick is that I didn't know this until I got a little bit older, but if you are an NFL player, I don't know if it's still the case now, the card company send you the entire set of any set that you're in. So every Upper Deck set or Fleer Ultra or Fleer or Score or any of the team tops, anybody that made an NFL card while my dad played, we just got sent a box that included 1,000 cards every single season. And it'd be like 8 boxes or 8 different companies, and they just show up in a UPS delivery. And now we don't have any more of those cards, so we can't sell them. Sorry.
Man, Simono, who's apparently locked into this card thing, tosses up Breech. He tosses up Devo. He says a 13-year-old pulled a 1/1 Mac Jones card from that box, sold it for $100,000 cash.
That's what me and my brother were talking about. That kid, yeah. He literally pulled it and sold it the same day
For $100,000, and then the other guy's already flipped it for 175, which is like, it's great that you got $100,000, but you're like, oh God, I should not have done that. I should have held that one.
It's crazy.
You pull a 1/1 like Mac Jones card, squat on that puppy.
That kid's from Ohio too.
That's what you get for being from Ohio.
Yeah, you get $100,000 richer.
I guess we're going to talk Baker Mayfield now.
Sure.
Oh, let's talk Tom Brady.
Yep.
Because Tom Brady finally gave his first press conference since he returned from retirement, his 5-second retirement that we did 14 emergency podcast on. And then 2 is like tweeting a bunch of like pictures of dudes in underwear because he's trying to sell the Brady brand. So like maybe it's time to mute Tom Brady on Twitter, as funny as he is. Not that there's anything wrong with, it's just not my, I cultivate my feed, and that's not what I cultivate in my feed. I'm allowed to.
You don't want Tom Brady prancing around in his underwear on your Twitter feed?
Not particularly, no.
Okay.
I unfortunately, or fortunately, however way you want to look at it, had to
turn alerts turned on.
Turn off alerts. That was it. It was
there you go.
once I got Tom Brady in all his glory, I was like,
he has 2 alerts on Twitter, one for Tom Brady and one for underwear. So that hit him both. He's been
it was quite the Avengers Endgame moment for me. It was unbelievable.
Brady said, asked about continuity, blah, blah, blah. I said, the season's already started. You're competing every day out there. You're either getting better, you're getting worse. You're not, oh man, this is some real Patriots talk. You're not going to go out. You're not going out there to break a sweat. You're out there to get things done. I think it should be, in my opinion, our best opportunity to play our football because we've been together the longest. And why shouldn't it be? We know each other. We know the scheme. We've been through a lot of challenging circumstances and games. And now we got to go out there and execute it as well as we possibly can. Man, that sounds like Pat's Tom Brady.
But more interestingly, he got asked if there's any beef between him and Bruce Arians, and he said 0. So I don't know. Do we believe that?
He's like, hell yeah, Bruce. How's your time? His
exact quote was, "quote He and I have a great relationship. Part of the reason I chose here was because of Bruce." So apparently, I don't know. It feels like they could have been not on. I mean, you can be friends with someone off the field and not like their demeanor and coaching style on the field. Like, to me, that is very plausible. What do you think, Sully?
I was gonna say, if you take out the back end of that, and it's just part of the reason why I signed with Tampa Bay, blah blah blah. You just take out you just look at the meat of it. You could say he's talking about Belichick too, and we all think that was an icy relationship as well. So it's like, I think he kind of knows how to maneuver in these situations, given his exit with New England and the fallen relationship with Belichick. He knows how to answer these things. He's not gonna give us anything particularly insightful about if there was a weird relationship between him and Arians, which again, very similar to Belichick. A lot of speculation that it wasn't particularly great.
But Belichick didn't retire 13 days after Brady announced he was coming back that one season. This is just a little
it would have been interesting though, again, not to go back or anything like that, but like in 2020 it would have been interesting if Kraft was like, nope, I'm gonna re-sign Brady, and that's gonna be the end of it, and see what happened with Belichick at that point.
Speaking of Belichick, I thought this was interesting. Not to segue off of Tom Brady, we can get back to it, but Mac Jones. This is via Miles Simmons of Pro Football Talk. Mac Jones, I think this is a Patriots YouTube, his press conference. We're trying to figure out. We talked about this, Sully. Like, is it Joe Judge or Matt Patricia going to be the offensive coordinator? Because regardless of which one it is, people in Boston and across the country are going to be like, all right, Bill, this offense better not suck, because again, it's like, really, Bill? Like, you're going to leave this is a huge year in New England, right? I mean, we all, they're not the favorites to win the division. They might not even be the second best team in the division. It's an uphill battle to make the playoffs with their roster, we think, but it's a huge year. Like, they can't miss the playoffs, and they can't be sub 500, or else Bob Kraft is going to start saying weird stuff this next offseason, and it's going to get uncomfortable. And Bill Belichick has a career, like a lifetime contract, you would think, but maybe not. At any rate, Miles Simmons, Belichick's been notoriously tight-lipped about who's coaching what and how the offensive scheme will change. After a long time, coordinator Josh McDaniels departed because the Raiders head coach. Mac Jones didn't give away much in his Thursday press conference either, though he did note just how much more involved Belichick has been with him this year. It was fun for me to get some snaps from him, Jones said, but we were just talking through something with the running backs, and like you said, he's very hands-on, and last year he was more with the defense and stuff. Now it's like, okay, let me show you this. And he's kind of coaching us and coaching the running backs in that drill in the way that they need to get through the line of scrimmage. So he's very hands-on. I feel like we made a lot of growth together as an offensive unit with him, and obviously personally with him as a quarterbacks group. So we're all on the same page. I think this is fascinating because Belichick has long said, you just made the face again.
No, I didn't. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
So now you're mistaking my two. I'm like, yeah, this is fascinating.
It is okay. Yeah, actually, I did read that. Anyway, Belichick has long said that he believes all coaches should be able to coach both sides of the ball. And Tom Brady has long talked about the fact that when he was with the Patriots, part of the reason that made him such a good offensive player and able to diagnose defenses was working so hands-on with Bill Belichick in the film room, right, Sully? I mean, that's like, this has a little bit of that to it and makes me feel a lot better about where the Pats are on offense. If Belichick's like, hey, you know what, Steve, go do something with the defense. Mayo, Steve, is Mayo still there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they got Mayo and baby Belichick. Like, y'all are doing the defense. Don't screw it up. You know what I like to do. Go run it. Hey, Mac, it's my time now. Like, that makes me think like, all right, this offense actually could be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if Belichick is extremely hands-on, and I mean, he was the freaking center for some of those drills over the course of OTAs or whatever it was, but if he's going
that's what
back,
Mac Jones meant from snaps from him. Like, right. Belichick is snapping the ball to him, and like you can't get much more hands-on than that.
Literally hands-on. But if he goes back to what we saw, I forget if it was a Football Life or whatever NFL Films thing was, when Brady and Belichick were in the room together, literally just going through game plans and having those discussions. Yes. If that is what Mac Jones is getting, if that is what is kind of evolving here in New England or getting recreated in New England, well, that's a great thing for the offense. That right there in itself is going to help, whether it's Patricia calling plays, Judge, or Belichick having a heavy hand in all of it. That alone, I think him just being that involved in turning his attention maybe a little bit away from the defense and to Mac Jones and that development, that is what's going to help the team. Because again, that's the most important thing this season is the development of Jones.
Yeah, and I think Belichick obviously knows that because he didn't hang around the offense last year because I don't think he thought he needed to. He had an implicit trust with Josh McDaniels. He knows that Josh McDaniels knows what he's doing, and he just kind of said, it seems like for the past 10 years or since McDaniels came back after the Broncos debacle, it was just, hey, Josh, you do your thing on offense. I don't need to chime in. You know, I might tell you when we're going for it on fourth down, but other than that, you're running the show over there. And so now that McDaniels is gone, I don't think Belichick, you know, even though we see Patricia kind of taking part and Joe Judge, I don't think he doesn't yet have that implicit trust that he had with McDaniels. And I think he's going to try and figure out how he feels about one of those guys kind of permanently running it. And if he doesn't feel comfortable, it seems like he'll just do it himself.
Yeah, I mean, or at the very least, he's going to build out an offense. I think Belichick will build out the offense, and then he will essentially tell Joe, maybe he's calling plays himself on the sidelines. Like, that wouldn't be that crazy. And you let Mayo and Steve Belichick call the defensive plays. Or you give him like a, basic, assignment set up and have him do it like that. Or he says, all right, this is our offense. It has a lot of the concepts that you already know, Mac. We're sort of building this stuff together. You want you to learn this and this and this. Here's how we're going to do this and this and this. And he's like, hey, Joe Judge, you're calling the plays, but you're calling them as like a governor. Like, you don't have the freedom to go outside this area of the play sheet unless you check with me first. Like, I could see that potentially happening as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And Belichick said this week too that they were kind of, I think they said streamlining the communication or whatever that whatever they were kind of talking about, was streamlining how they communicate and how they're kind of like running the offense there. I don't know if that's for Jones or if that's for Judge Patricia, but either way, if it makes it easier for all of those guys to operate together, it might be multiple voices going at Mac Jones. At least it'll be the same message getting across.
I could see a situation where Belichick's on the sidelines, sort of CEOing what's being called and like approving, Like sort of sometimes you see with like Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy where it's like obviously Andy Reid is listening and can jump in and be like, whoa, no, let's do this. And it's Patricia in the booth, just like he's got the play sheet and he's calling it. And like I could kind of get behind that, if only because Matt Patricia, clearly a major failure as a head coach of the Lions, but a very smart dude who is probably capable of taking a list of offensive plays that designed by Belichick or, built by McDaniels and Belichick, and then like knowing how to script them correctly over the course of a drive. Like that to me is not that crazy.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Again,
I wouldn't want Joe Judge stomping around the sidelines, like calling plays.
I don't know if that's, or at least from reports from camp, there's a bunch. I think Jeff Howe, the Athletic, had it too. It looked like Patricia was the kind of the one running it. Like if you were just kind of seeing it from the naked eye, I think it was Howe. Not forgive me, but
sure.
I think they were saying that it would be if you went and looked at it from the naked eye, it was like Patricia running it. And if it's Judge working as a quarterback's coach and Patricia calling plays and Belichick overseeing it all like a CEO, I guess it could be worse. I guess it could be just like, hey, just run it yourselves and Belichick's going to be over with the defense. But I don't necessarily hate that structure if Belichick has the heavy hand.
I will say that, and I know that people love when I take this podcast and steer it back towards like an NC State thing, but
oh boy,
well, the Dolphins doing. When did the Dolphins do the co-offensive coordinators? Are they doing that this year? Did they do that? No, they're not doing that this year. That was like
that was 20. Was that last year or 2020?
Either way,
20 was O'Shea, I think, right? I think that was Chad O'Shea as the OC.
Then it was last year.
So it must have been last year.
Okay, no, it never works. Is what my point was. If you do multiple offensive coordinators, because Shane Gailey was 2020, and they had Godsey and Studesville last year.
So what? Shea was 19? Must have been, yeah.
Whatever. By the way, they started off 1 and 7. So yeah, it doesn't work, and I think they probably changed at that point. NC State did that where they had co-offensive coordinators. Again, back to the Tobias Funke meme. It's like, does it ever work for anybody? No, it doesn't. But it might work. Like the Pats cannot have co-offensive coordinators. Like it just if that's the route Belichick goes, I would be extremely concerned. It's just like you just have two dudes trying to reach a compromise on what play to call in the heat of a moment of a football game, and it doesn't work. So for me, I want to see that streamline. Like if Belichick has some system built out where it's checks and balances and Joe Judge is providing input and Matt Patricia's calling the plays and Belichick is CEOing it, I can get down with that.
Sure.
But so I don't know, like Belichick being that hands-on with the offense, at least I think is a positive sign for Mac Jones and for this Patriots offense. It makes me a lot more optimistic about their 2022 hopes.
Yeah, I'll say it makes me less nervous. I think I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm just going to be a little less nervous about how it's going to turn out.
Right. Like if you got in the car, you're getting in let's say you're getting in a minivan or a Sprinter van, some type of big, you're going on a long trip, right? And you find out at the last second that the people you're going on this trip with, you're sharing the van with them, it's Bill Belichick, Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, and Mac Jones. I mean, your comfort level if you jump in the back of the van and Joe Judge is behind the wheel is pretty low. You jump in and Matt Patricia's behind the wheel, you're terrified. Belichick behind the wheel, you're like, sit back, relax, I'm good. Anything else on Tom Brady before you get?
No, I mean, all the Brady stuff was, I think, or not all of it, but like the stuff that we just talked about with Brady is it's generic quarterback speak at this time of the year. We're working hard. We're trying to get better. The only thing that I thought was interesting was he did comment about Gronkowski and just said he'll make whatever decision, we'll love to have him back, but whatever is best for him type of thing.
Well, and the other interesting thing was he didn't deny talking to the Dolphins.
Ooh, I like that.
That was the,
that is interesting.
He didn't say, hey, yeah, we talked to the Dolphins. I almost became an owner and player. He just didn't say no. He said, I think for me, the most important thing is where I'm at now. So basically he just ducked the question. That's pretty much confirming without confirming.
That's confirmed. That's Brady saying, I'm not going to answer it, but yes.
And I'm not going to lie and say, no, I didn't.
Please don't be a jerk and press me on this.
Right. Exactly. So I thought that was interesting that he didn't go out of his way to shoot that down.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to find a Cooper Kupp extension, big deal. But like, it's pretty tough to find content in like, this is not the slowest time of the year, but it's pretty close to it.
Yeah. Right after mini camps.
No, we're about to hit
Like, yeah, we're in
The
the dead
slowest
zone.
time of the year.
That's when we're going to be
You're
talking
muted, Breech, but
talking cards, trading cards all the time.
This podcast comes out on Friday. In a week from today, there are no more mini camps. So that's when Brinson, we're picking
Crisco has
Brinson's
his,
nose hairs to come up with topics.
Crisco has his crappy top 100 list coming out next week. He can't.
He's been texting about it nonstop. He's like, John, what about too many wide receivers? I'm like, who cares? Just slap it together, bro. Like,
I asked him if he could join the show next week, and his response via email was maybe not. No, maybe not. Depends on what else I have that day. Thanks, Pete.
I'm going to do HQ next Tuesday for an hour talking about his stupid list. But he's going to put DeAndre Hopkins on there instead of Terry McLaurin. I was like, what are you doing? Take Hopkins off. Hopkins had like 500 receiving yards last year and suspended the first 6 games of the season.
I was going to say, you can more easily make a case why Hopkins should be off the list than Terry McLaurin.
Then on. Yeah, or like, but like, why would you even, like, Pete's been complaining about Hopkins declining for years. Like, take him off the list. You scared he's going to tweet about it? Like, what's he going to be like? Oh, bro, I'll prove you wrong in game 7. Like,
and honestly, that would be a good thing, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the day, that's a good thing.
Right. The only time that anyone's ever cared about this list was when he left Minka Fitzpatrick off and all the Steelers started tweeting at CBS Sports HQ. And they love engagement. So piss somebody off, Pete. Grow up. Pete.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
What a quip. It's one of the all-timers.
Oh, we got to get Kevin Harlan on this offseason. I think he'd do it. We'll have him do a custom pick 6. Oh! All right. Anyway, let's get the hell out of here. I don't know how we got this to 50 minutes. What a miracle. I don't have many skills, but talking about nothing for a lengthy amount of time is one of them. All right. Thanks. By the way, if you're watching live on YouTube and you want to hear me talk about nothing for an even longer extended period of time, I'll be guest hosting with Nick Costos on You Better You Bet on Thursday evening from 3 to 7 p.m. So feel free to fire up that if you are. You can't do it if you're listening to the podcast on Friday. If you are listening to the podcast on Friday, have a great weekend. For Sully, for Breech, I'm Brinson. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you guys later.